Hello, dear students. My name is Bulatov N.K. Now the theme of our lecture 1, Introduction, History and the Stages of Development of Logistics and the Current Trends of Logistic Management. In the introduction, the logistics as science about planning, control and the management of operations of transportation, distribution, warehousing by both the other material and the non-material operations made in the course of merchandising has deep roots. The first logistic operations have arisen along with early forms of organizational trade and now have more than 1,000-year history. It is known that also in the period of the Roman Empire there were attendants carrying a title of logisticians who were engaged in distribution of food. It is considered that the term logistics to organizational and economic sciences has come from French and comes from the French word loger, a placement, quartering, which then was fixed also in English as logistics. This is word in military terminology for definition of the movement of military friends, the placement, quartering of military units, logistic support is used. In 1670, the new structure of headquarters of the French army has included a position of the senior marshal on logistics. Supply transportation, the choice of the camp and the correction of commission of a match belonged to his duties. The first author of scientific work on military logistics considers the French general of the Baron of Anthony Henry Germany. He has defined logistics as practical art of the movement by troops, and for the first time in 1812 has put these science into practice when planning ammunition, food, room providing in Napoleon's army. He claimed that the logistics includes not only transportations, but also more wide range of questions: planning, management and supply, definition, place, dislocation for troops, and the construction of bridges and roads, and other. Intensive development of logistics in military array connect the beginning of the 70s years of the 20th century with the energy crisis, sharp deterioration in economic condition of countries of Western Europe and the USA, the growing inflations and the unemployment have demanded development of urgent measures of stabilization and the improvement of situation in the sphere of economic. Then experts have addressed logistics as one effective forms integration of supply, production, transport and the market distribution with both attraction of modern technologies and the technical means. In the last 25 years, development of logistics was promoted by the following major factors: transformation of the market sellers in market of buyers, technological technological changes in vehicles and the communications, emergence and the distribution of modern computers, change of structure of products, increase in number of steps of the processing up to receiving finished products, corresponding strengthening of integration of production, and the expansion of the international division of labor and the cooperation, development of the theory of systems and the application of mathematical methods of the solution of economic tasks, considering evolution and the international experience of development of logistic systems in the field of development of logistics in our country. It is possible to carry the following perspective actions: increase in level and discipline of deliveries in the sphere of logistics, transition from operational to development of production to priorities in the sphere of consumer demand and the products sales, saturation regulation of by goods of separate trade segments by means of creation of logistic chains and the development of logistic service in process of market saturation, development of logistic thinking in production managers, intense training of shots for the sphere of logistics, stages of development and the current trends of logistic management. Logistics having created in the independent science in the second half of the 20th century. I have taken the place among achievements of the economic theory and the practice of business and as the administrative concept of effective functioning to subjects of the market in the conditions of dynamism and uncertainty of the market environment, growth of the competition, globalization of economic and the integration of economic life. In development of control systems of material systems, allocate the next periods: a logical period of classical logistics, neo-logistics period. One of the key factors of formation of logistic thinking was emergence of concepts of the general experience of physical distribution. The essence of this concept is that it is possible to relate to experiences in distribution that the general level of costs of advance of goods from the producer to consumption will decrease. For example, switching transportation goods which automobile to air transport. It is possible to avoid need of creation of intermediate warehouses, to exclude costs of warehousing, storage and stockpile management, and though costs of actual transportation will increase, the general level of expenses in distribution network will decrease. The second phase of development of classical logistics is connected with the Japanese approach in the sphere of production and the trade. In the 70s years, economy of Japan developed raw rights and began to restrict the American and European competitors in many markets. It has occurred thanks to low prime costs and the high quality of the Japanese goods provided. In particular, developed and applied for the first time the worldwide logistics of the concept just in time and an intra-production system Kanban. In the late 70s, the Japanese firm of the Toast has created new philosophy of product quality control to TQM, Total Quality Management, which is applied now by most firms and developed the capitalist countries, and the discipline of TQM became one of the basis of development of new integrated approach in logistics. Contents and the basic concepts of logistics. Logistics, one of the most multidimensional and complex scientifically application-oriented disciplines. The main objective of logistic achievement with the smallest expenses of the maximum finance of firms to the changing market situation, obtaining advantages before big competitions increase in market and the profit is considered. The logistics is first of the concept which is based on the systematized method of involvement of the separate interconnected elements in the general logistics process for the purpose of prevention of an irrational expenditure, commodity and manpower. In the most general view, the problem of logistics consists in creation of the integrated, effectively operating system of regulation and the control of material information streams. The rational organization of movement of materials and information on a chain from the producer to the consumer is also the main idea of logistics. The purpose of logistics is an optimization of a cycle or reproduction by the complex formation focused on recruitment, a stream of materials and information in production and the distribution of production. Object of research of logistics are the material and the corresponding and the financial streams conveying purchase of raw materials and the materials for production materials support, the transportation, warehousing and the storage. Intra-production organizational and technological distribution of materials, semi-finished products of components, warehousing, storage, transportation, and the sale of finished goods. Lecture 2. Logistics Role in Economy. Purchasing Management. Logistic Role in Economy. Logistics, the integrated instrument of management promotion, achievement of the objectives of the organization due to effective management of material and other streams. Efficiency is defined from the point of view of the general costs of service of streams and the satisfaction of requirements of end users to quality of products and the services. In fact, the logistics is the covering all elements of activity of the company and providing the coordinated management of materials, financial and information streams, and the high-end results of activity of all sides of merchandising. The most important point in the organization of management is use of system approach at which various functions of logistics is considered as interconnected, interacting elements. Financially, technical providing, production, transport, sale of finished goods, and the information transfer about the movement of inventory items are integrated into the uniform system, allowing to increase overall performance in each of those areas and the inter-industry efficiency. Purchasing management. The main functions of supplying logistics are planning, regulation, and control pricing. Control ensuring the main production with necessary material resources in the set temporary mode with the minimum expenses. Here, as well as in logistics of distribution, the discussions in the maximum degree satisfying to contradictory interests of the enterprises, contractors, transport warehouse, and the production division are made. The purpose of purchasing logistics: optimization of process of providing the enterprise with material resources. Economic factors have to be the main criterion defining the prepared policy of firm. The pursuing service of the firm has to provide production with everything that is necessary with when it is necessary, where it is necessary quality, and at the price which will allow to turn out certainly the necessary profitable and competitive products. For achievement of the minimum expenses in supplying logistics, the choice of option of device delivers and also disposition of material resources are constantly carried out. Usually consider three types of deliveries: own production, the available supplies, the developed supplies. Expansion of a range of the delivered resources due to own production can't infinitely be carried out. In the same way, the available suppliers not always agree to expansion of the range, since it is often connected with the need of acquisition of the new equipment, development of new technology, special training. Definition of need for material resources. The firm problems of logistics, reliability, material security, resources which has to meet the requirement for quantity and the quality of materials, the destination and the delivery time. Requirements of each company can be divided into several categories. Traditional categories are the need for raw materials, the completing objects for repair and the maintenance, packing services, tools, and the equipment goods for resale. Other way of classification of requirements is to define requirements which will become a part of production or the services offered clients of the company from the requirements necessary for maintenance of process of production and the distribution of production and the services. They can be identified as external requirements and the international requirements. Both types of requirements have to be focused on the client and coincide with the purpose and the strategy of the company. When determining need for materials, the following approaches essentially differ. Calculation of need for materials begins only when it arises, for example, at the receipt of orders of consumers. Calculation on the basis of the known consumption of the used materials. The second approach is used when time of delivery demanded by the client is less than a cycle restoration of warehouse stocks. Along with the tow approach, there are three methods of calculation of materials: determined, stochastic, and heuristics. In the first case, a certain period of implementation of the order and respectively the need for materials by quantity and terms is known. In the second case, the main for calculation the mathematic static methods giving the expected requirement A. In the third, the requirement is defined on the basis expense of workers. The analysis of a temporary row allows the define suitable models of which are possible. Model of constitutions consumption, directly proportional model, seasonal and the constant model, seasonal model with consecutive growth, and other. Technology of purchase of materials. Procurement process includes a number of the certain logically interconnected types of works. After definition of requirement and her description with an exact definition of the necessary characteristics, quantities, and the qualities of goods and the services, it is possible to allocate the following stages of purchase: drawing up applications, analysis of applications, choice of the supplier, placing order, analysis of orders. Drawing up applications. Applications and the purchase of necessary materials are prepared by the relevant staff of functional divisions of the enterprise. Applications contain information on what types and what amount of materials it is required, when they have to be bought, and who makes the application. Applications are formed so that the expected needs for necessary materials advanced the actual needs for them. Time between placement of the order and the receiving materials on him is called advancing time. Analysis of applications. On the basis of the received applications, the analysis of consumer purchase of necessary materials with use of methods of the functional and the cost analysis and the designing of cost is carried out. Choice of suppliers. If the enterprise has decided that it is expedient to make any products by own force, the search of suppliers is run by the amusement of a competition studying of the corresponding company catalogs. The main source of obtaining data on necessary materials and their suppliers, personal contacts with sellers. The advertisement placed in advertising magazines, the description of goods which is given in trade prospectuses, correspondence visit of the enterprises, and the studying of experiment on use of the development delivered production. As a result of the analysis of the sources, the list of the potential suppliers enjoying confidence at the same time is formed quality of the delivered materials and the provided services, price level, and the observance of terms suppliers of considerate. Lecture 3. Inventory Management. Inventory Management. Scoping of the order and the strategy of inventory management. Providing a continuity of production cycle, smoothing tactical fluctuation, serve the main defining formation of material stocks. Traditional practice of planning and the formation of stocks had serious shortcomings. Early main emphasis was placed security of delivery, and they were practically not engaged in regulation of stocks. If increase in sale of consumption was expected, the purchase increased, and vice versa. Logistic approach consists in optimization of stock rate, increase in availability, and the maximum readiness of the consumer. Types of stocks. In the theory of stockpile management, most often allocate the following types of stocks: existence and the industrial enterprises, current, preparatory, insurance, seasonal. Besides the serial stocks, which are formed owing to rounding towards wages, that is calculated quantities of goods for production of or deliveries to clients, but not exceeding certain amount of deliveries. Appointment and the types of inventory holdings. Material stocks are the industrial goods which are at different stages of production and the address products of national consumption and the other goods expecting the introduction in process of production of personal competition. Stocks are the necessary component of a material stream existing through a considerable part of time of his movement. Creation of stocks is always accompanied by expenses. We will list main types of the expenses connected with creation and the maintenance of stocks. The frozen financial maintenance, cost of specially equipped rooms, compensation of special personnel. The expenses considering cancer, risk damage, plunder, and also on obsolescence and the other. Classification of stocks is necessary for the solution of two tasks: specification of an object of studying within the set material stream. Stockpile management the set logistic system. Criteria of classification of stocks can become location, function of a stock, time. In the location, stocks divide on production and the commodity. Production stocks. The stocks formed at the enterprises and in the organization consumers for ensuring an uninterrupted operation of production. They are the objects of the labor of various level which has arrived to the consumer but which aren't used yet and they aren't subject to processing. Stocks commodity. Stocks of finished goods at manufacturers and also stocks along the line goods from the supplier to the consumer, that is at the enterprises of sale, small wholesale, and the retail trade in producing organization and the stocks in way. On the executed function, production and the commodity stocks subdivided on current, preparatory, quarantine, seasonal, pacing. The current stocks, the main part of production and the commodity stocks. They provide a continuity of production or trade process between the next deliveries. Preparatory stocks. The stocks are located in production and the commodity stocks in need of preparation of production for use in production or to holiday to buyers. Insurance stocks are intended for continuous insuring with materials of or goods of production or trade process in case various not foreseen circumstances, for example, such as deviations in frequency and the size of parties of deliveries from provided by the contract. Possible delays of materials or goods in way of on delivery from suppliers and unforeseen increase of demand. Seasonal stocks are formed of seasonal nature of production, consumption or transportation. Production of agricultural production can be an example of seasonal nature of production. Seasonal nature of traditional is caused as a rule by work or constantly functional route. The pacing stock the remains of material resources of the end of one, the beginning of the next reporting period. Expenses of formation and the storage of stocks. Creation and the storage of stocks is always connected with creating expenses. Maintenance costs of stocks have been very high. Capital investment in stock, an immobilization of means. These expenses join in expenses to reflect that profit which could be received if these investments haven't been made in stocks and were used for other purposes. Expenses of implementation of the order or purchase include expenses on management, a salary of the employee, phone, postage, fax, account department, the transportation costs, inspection, and the other expenses connected with purchase of the order for productions. Storage expenses include expenses on duplication, contents, heating, of the place taken under stock. Their size is usually not proportional to the cost of stocks and is connected with characteristics of the warehouse. Warehouse operations is included into cost of implementation. Cost the worker of force occupied with unloading, loading, and the movement of products. Depreciation changes from the cost of the hosting and the transport and the loading equipment or the rent if the equipment is rented. Scoping of the order. Problem of calculation of size of the order of materials is definition optimum. The amount of revenues to a warehouse within a calculated requirement. It is valid as for the materials necessary for own production and for the acquired accessories. At the choice of economic size or party, it is necessary to consider the opposite tendencies and to find a minimum of total expenses. At the same time, sometimes purely mathematical calculation optimum purchase has to be corrected according to conditions of production. Systems and the strategy of stockpile management. The control system of stocks is understood as a complex of action for creation and the replacement of stocks, the organization of continuous control and the operational planning of deliveries. The variety of control systems of stocks can be reduced to two types, differing by the principles of replenishment and the stocks of information processing. In systems of the first type, the next delivery of goods is carried out in case of reduction of cash stocks to a point of repletion of the order. The point characteristics the stocks rate quantum existence of goods in a warehouse in time between the moment of the order of new consignment and of goods and its revenues to a warehouse. The order of the variable size is placed in systems of the second type through constant intervals of time. In practice, it is possible to meet also systems of the mixed type. The systems of the fixed order most often is applied or stockpile management. Goods on which it's impossible to define to current demand, but excess of stocks of which in a warehouse is important. Chase universal goods costs of formation and which storage of stocks rates low owing to a low rent, small risk, and the required space. Goods requirement for which can be separated from the need for in the products. The system with fixed frequency on the orders is more effective at greatest expenses of materials. The informed expense rated rather not high transport and the procuring expenses. The right choice of from a supply materials a warehouse is of great importance. Transit or warehouse. The main characteristics of mathematical models of stockpile management control variables, parameters, and the criteria. Control variables correlate such characteristics of management system inventors influence on which exercise system management. Parameters Characteristics of the main of the analysis system. The stockpile management caused by the external environment. They can be divided into 4 groups. Expenses, emergence at stockpile management, the parameters describing demand, the parameters describing supply conditions, and the restrictions and other criteria. Characterize the recorded purpose of management. On the system effectiveness of stockpile management is defined and measured. The criterion of efficiency, a control system of stocks can be expressed variously and depending on its various formulations of a task, a stockpile management possible. The criterion of quality. Service can be measured. Quantity of cases of demand which can to satisfy due to the lack of a stock. The size of position which has arisen because of impossibility to satisfy demand owing to lack of stock. The extent of the demand satisfied without delay. Waiting time satisfaction of demand and the other. Thanks you for your attention.